Hello, everybody in the chess world. I'm continuing my series on, internet pandemic games. And you'll see, I'll leave you the links in the description for the rest of the videos, but you'll see how now, once again, it'll happen the same thing for me. Like, I'll have two options, in a particular position in a game, like a solid one and a really aggressive one. So I choose the aggressive one, I calculate everything. I win the game thanks to that aggressive line and calculation, but there was a flaw. There's something I missed, and since my opponent missed it as well, I end up winning the game. So, I mean, never flawless, always flawed, my victories. But this one in particular that I'm going to show you today, it was really painful to see how it wasn't precise. I mean, computer really punishes always. So I had this position like that I'm showing you right here. I was white. So in this position I played, you can see this is some sort of Benoni-like, but with this big hole on b5 in my favor, so should be some sort of Benoni with, a lot of advantages for me. So I played knight b5, just, hitting this d6 pawn, and my opponent played, normal reply knight on c5, so allowing the queen to protect the pawn, and, placing the knight on an aggressive square, from which it attacks my queen, and I surely don't want to give up my good bishop for that knight, so I play just queen a3. This is what I had seen before, and, of course, I am threatening to take here. I'm actually threatening to go first knight takes d6, right? Because after queen takes d6, I will have bishop takes, recovering the knight and hitting this rook, so I knew that this will force b6, the answer by my opponent, but at least probably black felt that, at least now they're solid, right? So I played first a knight c4. This is quite logical because I'm hitting this and putting some pressure here and forcing the only defense for this d6 pawn, which was knight on e8, which I understand. And now I'm going to ask you to possibly think, but I'll give you two options. Because I was looking at this position and I thought, I have first play more the Karpovian way, which will be just all development, right? Bishop on e2, just followed by castles. And I was even seeing that, probably black will play f5, and I saw that I could even, just castle anyway in that position. Because, black does have, it's possible to play f takes e4, as it is possible to play f4. Certainly f4, I don't have a problem with that. I'll just play bishop on f2 and be much better. And f takes e4, I thought, I can even allow that because I'll just recapture and, of course I'll have the strength of the f file. I can exchange queens or try to allow him to exchange the rooks. But if in case of, knight takes e4, I could take on b6. Both ways. I could take with the knight hitting the rook. I could also take with the bishop hitting the queen. So, going back to this position, I thought, the Karpovian way bishop on e2 is quite attractive. I should be clearly better. But there was also, for me, I started calculating because I thought, I also have the Kasparovian option here. And I think you'll probably see what I mean. I had this really logical idea, which is, what if I sacrifice both of my knights on g6 and on b6? Because then, in the end, the resulting position will be these two pawns and these two knights will disappear. And this knight will appear this queen will appear in here on d6. So I'll just play bishop takes e5, recovering one of the pieces, and then having this x-rays over the queen on d6 and taking up the exchange. So I thought, I'll try to calculate in case there are possible refutations or different lines. I'm going crazy here with the arrows, but I was like, all right, I really remember all of those games that I showed you before where I had a lot of victories, but really flawed victories. And in the end, I was like, I think I want to play the Kasparovian way, but I'll leave you to think that. So what will you play here? The plan of sacrificing both knights on b6 and d6 to then follow it up with bishop takes on c5, or just the Karpovian way, bishop on e2. So Pausethevideoandthink. For all you boring bastards that chose bishop on e2, what can I say? You were right. You were right. Once again, the boring line was the correct move. Bishop on e2 is the right move. And as I said before, f5 castles, white has a clear advantage. This is totally fine. Now, I want to show you, not only what was the flaw in my plan of sacrificing both knights, but really, it's no excuse. I really was trying not to be lazy. The first 2 minutes, I thought, I'm going to sacrifice both my knights, as I said, on b6 and d6. Now, where will I take first and with which knight? And so the first line that I saw that it didn't work because I don't know why. Initially, what I saw was to start it with knight takes b6. And I immediately saw, well, wait a minute, there are tactics for black. Here, after queen takes b6 and knight takes d6, well, black won't play the expected knight takes d6 and now bishop takes. I hit the queen, I'll take the knight, and then I'll intend to take the rook. I saw that here they had the intermediate knight d3 check, immediately refuting my sacrifice because, well, of course, I mean, the thing is, I cannot take with the bishop because I will cut the communication between my queen and my bishop. After queen takes e3 check, it's lights out for me. And of course, I could take it with the queen, but just queen takes d6, and I no longer have this bishop c5 to recover the exchange on f8. So now it's quite different. So the first minute I saw that, and I was like, well, maybe I'll go back to the bishop on e2 line. But then I thought, wait, maybe I can sacrifice my knights on those points in a different way. And that is actually what I did. In the game I played first knight b takes d6. And after knight takes d6, well, now I play knight takes b6. And the game continued as planned for me. I mean, he played queen takes b6, which is double question mark. And I played bishop takes e5. And after the queen went away, I just took the knight. And I was also threatening. In fact, he went to d8, but he could have gone to b7. Anyway, this position is absolutely winning for me. And, well, once again, I won the game. But that was, I mean, there was a flaw. And this is so sad. I mean, really, it's such, I mean, really, what a bastard chess is, right? Because I even calculated the basic line, the basic refutation for black, but I missed one move. So in this position, as I said before, queen takes b6 is double question mark. So knight c takes e4 is the counter attack that black had and that I actually had seen. But look at this, because this is what I calculated. I thought, well, knight takes on a8. Of course, knight takes rook, and of course, queen on h4 check. So when I put this position in the engine, because the engine was already saying, hey, black is much better here, and I was like, what do you mean? And the computer was like, well, here you have to play g3. And I was like, yeah, so g3, and there is knight takes on g3, and I was like, yeah, of course I saw that. And the engine was like, well, so now h takes g3, and I was like, wait, what do you mean h takes g3? I saw this, but here I saw bishop on f2. I mean, is this total refutation? Now I'm gonna win the knight. I'm also hitting the knight on d6. I mean, I'm going with everything here. What are you talking about? And of course the engine was like, well, yeah, dude, but you just missed knight d on e4. And
no, you didn't.
It's so painful, really. This movie is so sharp. I guess it's not so hard to see with the position before our eyes, but in calculation with all that chaotic thing. And as soon as I saw this, I was like, well, I mean, really, I mean, really, it's so hard. So let us continue with this line to show you what's the point. Of course, the point is that after pawn takes knight, queen takes is check, and there also take the rook. The chaos is still going on, so queen e3 will be a recommendation from the engine, and after queen takes rook, well, queen takes knight, but a bishop on a6, and look at this. Again, a double attack in here and in here. So queen g2 is, well, what recommended for the computer. Well, this forces queen takes queen and bishop takes, but after rook takes a8, okay, I mean, what is material? A pawn up for black. I do have this beautiful pass d5 pawn, which, well, I could even probably play d6 right now, hitting the rook and maybe going like this. My bishops look better than black's bishop, but I believe the computer is saying that this is either roughly equal or slightly better for black. So going back to all of this chaos in this position, so the computer told me do not play bishop on f2, or at least that is not winning for you. H takes g3 alternative, which was a move that I wasn't even considering because I was only looking at bishop on f2. So, well, obviously queen takes rook, and there are some similarities because now I have queen takes d6, but now instead of going, like for, well, there is no bishop on a6, right? Because I will take it, but oh, they come through the other side with the same threat over this bishop, only that, in the other diagonal. And here, well, queen a6 anyway, an empty square, but, protecting on f1. And there is no possibility to deviate, my queen with rook takes, because, well, then I would just take it with check. That is the detail. However, the computer just gave queen takes f3, like the simple normal move. And this, well, I think computer was even given possible clear advantage for black in here. I mean, again, this is still total chaos. We can see in here that I have not exchanged queens. So the difference between the safety for black's king and mine, I mean, that should really make all the difference, not only in an objective way, but also in a practical way, right? In a practical way, like what are we doing with that king there? Considering all of that, maybe we should go back to this bishop on f2 line with this bastard move, knight d4, and end up like in this position where, well, at least, I mean, maybe black's slightly better, maybe it is equal. The point of all of this is that in going back to this position, well, starting the whole line of sacrificing both knights on b6 and on d6 was flawed. I mean, it will drive the position to either slightly better for black or equality, while again, the simple Karpovian way, bishop on e2, going for castles and not being afraid of f5, just keeping every advantage, keeping this, Benoni position, but with the plus of having this great square on b5, having pressure on all the dark squares and the dark points for black was actually the best way to go. So really, again, really painful. And again, when I finished the game, I was like, oh, cool, double sacrifice, everything. And immediately the ancient was like, no, dude, no. Again, it was flawed, you keep making mistakes. The only thing is that your opponents don't punish them, but that's all. So, well, what can I say? At least there were, internet games, at least there weren't official games, but again, it's so hard to be precise in this game. What can I say? So, well, once again, I'll leave a Citronetta to ask you to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And thanks a lot for watching, and I hope to see you on the next video. Thanks a lot, and bye-bye.